Is the EU making too many restrictions for Apple? Let's get into it. Now, recently the EU has been starting to go kind of crazy with Apple. You know, originally it started with them forcing Apple to have USB-C, and everyone was really happy about that. And then it started to kind of go the other way, making Apple have other app stores supporting their phone, forcing Apple to do that, forcing them to add USB-C. USB-C and, you know, people supporting it so much and said, like, supporting the EU with that decision, I think it gave the EU kind of this full sense of security. By a full sense of security, I mean, it made people's, you know, positive reaction to the EU forcing Apple to have USB-C kind of led to them thinking they could just kind of make any rules they want. Now, the craziest one I've seen recently is about them making it possible to delete the Photos app and have a third-party Photos app. Now, I think this is an absolutely terrible idea. Now, people are saying with Android you could have different Photos apps, you could do all this, but you can't really. I mean, you have the default Photos app that you can use, and you know, it still gets stored into your Files app if you really want it, but giving people the option to delete their Photos app is a dangerous thing, because if people actually delete their Photos app and lose all their photos, Apple is going to get absolutely hated on. Now, I don't think this one will go through, because this is absolutely mental, and it also poses a massive risk, because if someone deletes the Photos app, installs a Photos app that isn't as secure, doesn't have good service as Apple, it's going to cause issues. I genuinely do think that this is one of the worst decisions that EU could make, and I think Apple will generally try and fight this, because forcing Apple to have another Photos app is so unnecessary. I don't think that we should have third-party Photos app, because photos are sentimental. I think we should trust the companies that give us the phone to have their own camera app and not have third-party ones that we don't really know much about. Now, obviously, if they said, oh yeah, you have to either choose between Google Photos and Photos, yeah, fine. Google and Apple, that's absolutely fine. But, you know, when you start to get into the random companies that no one's heard about, and, you know, the cheap prices for, you know, maybe 2 terabytes of storage, it kind of gets a bit scary, and I think that's why Apple will push against it, because they're a very much privacy-focused company. They want to make sure that your photos, your videos are secure and safe, and I think they will try and do that. They will try and push against the EU. Regulation doesn't seem like it's going to be coming to Android, and for me, this kind of seems like the EU is just basically trying to make the iPhone into an Android phone. Now, I'm not saying that is the case, but it very much feels like a lot of the things they're doing are targeted towards Apple, are targeted towards, you know, making sure that their phones stay similar to Android, making sure that their competition and the gap, it gets closer and closer and closer. Now, in America, they are also, you know, fighting against Apple. But America are trying to open up Apple's ecosystem, because they think it's not fair that Apple have control over the ecosystem, and they make it really difficult to get in and out. They make it really difficult to get out of the ecosystem once you're in the ecosystem. But no other company is getting all of these restrictions thrown against them. Apple's legal team must be crying right now, because all of these things that keep coming towards them are happening all in such a short space of time. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, why is suddenly Apple going from being the favourite company, you know, to all these governments and to all these different people, to literally being hated and having so many restrictions thrown against them? It's so crazy that we're actually at this point where Apple have got so many lawsuits coming out that you can't even keep up with which one you're even talking about. It's so crazy to me that we're actually at this point. Apple used to be such a walled garden, you know, such a safe company to go with. Now, there are so many different options, so many different things that, you know, are being thrown at them all the time. And it's not their fault, but it's just, for some reason, all these governments do not like the fact that Apple have quite a bit of control. Now, I think that, yeah, it's important to make sure the consumer has control, but making them, you know, have the possibility to delete the Photos app is kind of crazy. That's a very vital part of the phone, and I just don't think that that's right at all. Now, some would argue that the move to USB-C wasn't right. No government should be able to force a company to do something. But USB-C was a very much needed standard for the iPhone, and having Lightning was kind of stupid. Bringing in third-party app stores, I think that is also a good change. But obviously that's only in the EU at the moment, because that's only an EU thing. But I do think this poses security risks. Some people don't know what they're doing, and that's why, you know, it was great to have an Android phone, because people tended to have an Android phone if they knew what they were doing, and that's what made it easier for people to understand. iPhones were the safe one. Android, you know, things get slightly risky. But luckily, Apple are making it so that, you know, there are some restrictions on what third parties can do with their app stores. but it is still dangerous. But comment down below what you think about the EU. Do you think that the EU are being kind of crazy with all these restrictions they're bringing onto Apple? And let me know. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It's been Harry. I'm out. Peace.